Be paranoid. Number one, assume that, that there's going to be an awful lot of work required of you, that you're going to be highly distracted from doing business. Be prepared for a disruption. Right? There is nothing simple about this, and the auditors really are so concerned about making sure they cover the details and do an exemplary job, so that when the PCAOB inspectors come along, they can demonstrate that they've been thorough. And of course, they're concerned about risk, as management should be. So be paranoid, I think, would be my watchword. First thing is roles and responsibilities. Make sure that you understand what it is you're trying to accomplish in terms of financial GRC, internal control over financial reporting. Understand that the role of the internal auditor is to act as a checker of the processes and procedures that are in place in the corporation. So therefore, you need to make sure that, when the auditors come, they find nothing, because your folks inside have done their job, which means that your internal auditors become the proxy for the external auditor. That the management accountants are properly trained to work with operations people to ensure that processes are mapped, that control points are properly defined, that proper paperwork documentation is maintained, and that it's clear as to who is responsible for each of the components of the implementation and ongoing management, maintenance of the internal controls over financial reporting. Well, I think what you have to assume with the external auditors is that there's huge inconsistency between partners and between the auditors. Just over lunch, for example, I was speaking to 4 people who have been through audits for Sarbanes-Oxley 404. One of the people said, we had to get into our purchase card process, and we were required to make what was a streamlined, efficient, effective process and turn it into a draconian mess as a result of the auditors demanding things, when the person next to them said, oh, we didn't have to do that. Why was that? Well, because the auditor had a different point of view on what was reasonable and what was not reasonable, and there was a question of risk and reward or payback. One obviously was thinking that more details, more intrusiveness was necessary. Another one was being more management oriented and recognizing that maintaining minutiae was not actually going to have very much impact on material weakness. None of the items would be a material weakness anyway. It was just overkill by the auditor. So I guess my point is, you must assume that your auditors actually are not experts, and that they may have been involved or they may not. Certainly, the young people on the team are doing their best, but they don't have any perspective that's particularly valuable. And so you just have to assume that what you're going to get is not necessarily the right answer. And even if you go out and get advice from another accounting firm or a consulting firm in advance, they may have a different view from the people actually held accountable for doing your audit. So just be prepared for vagueness and uncertainty and a wild ride.